Welcome to the digital home for the English curious. My name is Annie Lopsh and I'm an author and language confidence coach. So for today's topic, we are going to speak about English testing or English competency testing, and we are going to specifically look at the PTE and the IELTS model. So this is just a breakdown of what you are going to need in case you require further clarification on anything raised in today's video share. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about the common characteristics of the PTE and IELTS model. We are also going to look at the main differences, and we are going to look at some considerations for prospective test takers. I want to start off by looking at some of the general common characteristics. So, as I've mentioned at the beginning, this is an international English testing system. So, candidates must demonstrate a very high score band in order to successfully pass the tests. And the way they are structured, the testing system, is you basically have an academic and a general version, and then they are further broken down into reading, writing, speaking, and listening components. So what you will find is that there is generally a lot of overlap between both testing systems, because they both require dedication and skill and a lot of preparation. I want us to now move on and speak about some of the differences, and we will focus on the ownership component. So PTE basically stands for Pearson Testing of English, and it is owned by the Pearson Language Group, or PLC, which is a multinational publishing and education company. Whereas IELTS, or IELTS, if you struggle with my version of the acronym pronunciation, this stands for International English Language Testing System. And this is jointly owned by the British Council, Cambridge English, as well as IDP and IELTS Australia. So you have collaboration going between all of those players when it comes to IELTS, whereas PTE is also British. It's a multinational which is based in the UK. But having said that, both test versions or testing systems are internationally accredited. I want us to now move on and speak about one of the biggest question that comes up, and that is around the cost. They basically end up costing around $200 where you will basically have to inquire locally about the specific cost in your area. But onto the overall structural differences. And remember how at the onset I spoke about the academic and the journal version. I'm going to use, for purposes of this video, the academic version, just to illustrate my point. So what you have is the listening component, which basically is the same when it comes to IELTS and PTE by way of length. Okay, so the order in which you are required to do the testing is slightly different, but the length is basically the same. In fact, to take it from the top, when you specifically focus on IELTS, so you do listening first and you do the reading thereafter, and this is about 30 minutes long, whereas the listening is the listening specifically is 30 minutes long, and the reading session about 60 minutes, and the writing is also 60 minutes. And then the speaking component is normally a live session with a human examiner, and you have to book this. Okay, so that makes for a longer, sometimes, turnaround time, meaning that you won't necessarily get your full test results on the same day. And sometimes this because of this component, you can wait up to a week, depending on how busy, depending on scheduling issues on the examiner's part. So overall, in terms of IELTS, in terms of IELTS overall, the total duration you're looking at is about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And the speaking and writing component when it comes to PTE are in one sitting, and that is a 67-minute session, whereas the reading is about 29 to 30 minutes, and then you have the listening, which can go up to 45 minutes. And what you will find is that this is a fully integrated, automated test, okay, which is assessed by artificial intelligence, and so you can get your results on the same day, whereas with IELTS it sometimes can take a little bit longer, depending on the availability of the human examiner for the speaking component of your examination. So that's the one, perhaps, con on the part of IELTS, and a pro on the part of PTE in terms of the turnaround time, because PTE, as I've indicated, is integrated and you get your results on the same day. But of course, there is a lot of controversy around embedded bias when it comes to artificial intelligence assessments, and it tends to favor the Americanized intonation when it comes to English testing, whereas with IELTS you are while you have to wait for the human examiner, when it comes to the speaking component, you can speak in any accent and you are not penalized. So I want us to now move on to the writing tasks specifically. And here you have a breakdown just to further elaborate. And again, you can see it's more or less the same thing, a lot of overlap, because fundamentally, the principles are the same. It's just that, they offer the value proposition is a little bit different in terms of turnaround, etc. And the options, the testing options available to you. So when you look at the writing, you'll see that again you have 60 minutes on IELTS. PTE can go up to 45 minutes, and 2 tasks on both sides. Whereas with IELTS, you are asked in task 1 to write a 150-word description, and then task 2, you are asked to write a 250-word essay. With PTE, you are asked in task 1 to summarize the written text in 75 words, and then you have to write a 200 to 300-word essay. And when it comes to the speaking, again, I've broken it down here for you so you can examine it more closely. And you are welcome to pause on this particular slide, and you'll see upon close examination of the IELTS version, you get to do 3 tasks, 3 questions. 1 is the introduction, and then 3 is you get to speak on a topic, and then 2 you get to speak on a topic, and then 3 you get to expand on the topic that is introduced in terms of task 2. And then with PTE, again, here you have an integrated approach with 25 to 33 questions, and you get to basically read aloud, you get to repeat sentences, describe images, you get to retell the lecture, and then you have a few short answer questions. With the listening task, you are basically required on IELTS to answer 40 questions, allocated 30 plus 40 minutes. Okay, and you have 4 recordings. One in a social context, a conversation. The other is a monologue in a social context, and you have a conversation on an academic context, and then the 4th recording is an academic monologue. And in terms of the actual tasks, you are then required to answer multiple choice questions, plan and map, label some diagrams. You have to do sentence completion and form completion. Also, you have to answer some short questions. Okay, whereas with PTE, within 45 minutes, you have about 8 recordings, all in an academic context, comprising of about 20 questions, and there you have to again answer some multiple choice questions, summarize spoken text, fill in the gaps and highlight the correct or incorrect answers, select missing words, write form from a specific dictation that is provided. So how do you then prepare for an exam? That's also a big question that arises. First and foremost, you obviously have to take English classes. You can inquire with me about specific programs, okay? Or you can take a course with a renowned institution. And then what you need to do is you need to do practice tests, okay? So these are paid access to scored practice tests. It's very important as part of your preparation. You also can access question banks. So these are sample question and answers, and this will help with your readiness. And alongside this, you can use study guides, exam boosters, and in order to get more in-depth information. And then lastly, you can of course work with a professional. Remember, you can sign up with me for a 4 to 6 week intensive examination preparation program for specifically your IELTS or PTE examination. Or you can also inquire with me about short to long term English programs. So I am going to leave it here for today. I'll